Am I the asshole for telling my wife that our kids don't owe us anything? So basically during dinner, the subject of kids came up. Can't remember why. And basically all three of our kids don't want bio kids. And our eldest is kinda neutral on the topic of kids and says it's up to his future partner whether or not he adopts. This has really upset my wife. She says that every parent looks forward to the day they get to become a grandparent. I told her that if any of our kids adopted she would still be a grandma. She got upset and said it's not the same. I told her that they are still kids, 17M, 15F, 13F, and that their opinions could change. During this convocation, I said something along the lines of, also they don't owe you or me anything, it's their bodies. This pissed off my wife and she started yelling that there's nothing wrong with her wanting and hoping for real grandkids. To me it doesn't really matter if they have kids or not. I would love to be a grandparent but that's not my decision. Also, they're still kids, them having children is a long way away and their opinions may change as they grow. However, I feel like I could have handled the situation so much better and that what I said was hurtful, so am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Holy cow, at your wife though. Hasn't finished rearing her own children and is fretting about grandchildren? And the whole, real grandchildren, thing is gross. I think you handled it perfectly if you were calm and civil. You are also correct. Your children are in charge of their bodies and reproduction choices. Not the asshole, your wife is an asshole for calling adopted kids not real. Not the asshole, none of your kids are old enough to start giving her grandchildren, but she's pitching a temper tantrum over this? She needs a hobby or the empty nest bit is going to be torture for everyone and she's already trying to drive her kids away. Not the asshole. Your wife thinking she has the right to real grandkids make her the Also she is freaking out about it now when kids are literally in their teens? Give me a break lol. Not the asshole. You're right. Furthermore, she isn't even being a good mother, putting her selfish whims above her own children's wishes and well-being. Not the asshole. But really, why is this even so serious right now? They're teenagers. I just don't see any reason for this convo to be so heated at their ages. It's an odd pressure to put on them while they are still kids. Not the asshole. You are 100% correct. They don't owe her having kids. And an adopted child shouldn't be any different than a biological one to her, especially because she wouldn't be the one having the child anyway. If she can't love an adopted child as much as a bio one, maybe she needs to reevaluate how much she wants to be a grandparent. Definitely a little biased on my part with the adoption thing, but either way you're still not the asshole. I was going to say NaH to start with because your wife is totally allowed to hope and want grandkids. But it crossed a line for me when she said, real grandkids. Adopted children are real people. They are real children and real grandchildren. So, not the asshole, but your wife is for her view on adopted children. Not the asshole, and boy is your wife a piece of work. The man my daughter married already had a daughter, Jay. So to me that was a bonus because she is my first grandchild. Jay will never be treated any differently than any bio kids they may have. It sounds like your wife's mind is so narrow that her scratch pads are an inch wide. No insult intended towards Op. Not the asshole, and your wife could handle it better. But I did feel pretty shitty as a parent when my kids said they didn't want kids. I thought it personally reflected on me being like a bad mom. But it doesn't. I just really needed to listen to their thoughts on kids. Not the asshole, you handle the situation right for the people you should have been defending, your kids. Not the asshole, your wife is being overly dramatic. No one knows that they really want in life in their teen years. Having such a strong reaction to what your kids say right now is ridiculous. I would also consider her the asshole because it seems like she will have no problem trying to guilt your kids into having children just because she wants grandkids, and having children for the wrong reasons is in the top 5 worst things you can do in life. I wonder how she would react if one of your girls took what she said to heart and got pregnant right now. I highly doubt she'd be jumping for joy. Nah? Like, she is allowed to hope for that and express that hope to you. It's true that adopted grandkids are still 100% grandkids, but she's allowed to want to be a grandmother and be a little sad that she might not be. But you're also not the asshole for reminding her that there's plenty of time and that yes, your kids don't owe you grandkids. I think this is an example of a conversation that got out of hand because one or both of you stopped hearing emotions and just looked to pick at each other. Not the asshole. When we say, your feelings are valid, that is not blanket permission to drop all your worst impulses and thoughts on people. She's allowed to be disappointed, but she absolutely needs to respect her children's choices on the subject and should never have said what she said about adoption. Not the asshole. Better making this clear now than when you will be faced with the issue, not that it is one. She isn't being reasonable, but she also may be hurt because what is obvious to her isn't to the rest of your family. Hopefully she will come around eventually. Not the asshole. You are absolutely right. Your kids are, as you said, still young and may change their minds when they get older. Even if they don't, whether they have children or not is their decision to make. No one should be pressured to have kids if they don't want to for whatever reason. Not the asshole. 100% correct in what you said. Their bodies, their choices. And your children don't owe you or her anything, be it grandchildren or taking care of either or both of you in your old age or anything else. I decided at the age of 10 years old after being present for my brother's birth that I did not want to carry, birth children, that I would rather adopt. I'm almost 40 now and have not changed my mind. If I end up pregnant, I end up pregnant, but it's not something I'm seeking. Your kids may change their minds, but they also may not. Contrary to what your wife seems to think, people can live very happy and fulfilling lives without becoming parents. Not everyone is meant to be a parent, and there is nothing wrong with choosing to be child-free. Real grandkids, gross. You're completely right in that it's not up to you or your wife, and I find it great you, maybe not so much your wife from the looks of it though, are making it clear that you don't have any expectations of what they choose. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You said what you said and it's true. They don't owe y'all anything and it's their choice at the end of the day. Thank you for sticking up for your kids. Not the asshole. Wife needs to understand bodily autonomy and consent. As well, she needs to stop being obsessed with her children's potential sex life. Ew. She started yelling that there's nothing wrong with her wanting and hoping for grandkids. There isn't anything wrong with that in theory. But in practice, that has led Oz to put pressure on their kids or throw a temper tantrum. I guess if your children won't have kids then you have to be a kid. The fact that you said she's upset and not just bummed makes me think she's heading in that direction. Oh, and not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your wife's view on adopted kids is just sad. What if one of them physically can't have kids of their own? But they're all still minors, why even worry about that now? My granddad that recently passed away, funeral was today, technically isn't my granddad. He was my mom's stepdad since she was 12. She called him dad. So to me he's my granddad. I call him that, always have, always will. And he considered us his grandchildren. He considered my kids his great-grandchildren. Bragged about them and us to other people and on FB. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the bonds you have. Not the asshole. My daughter, 14, has her heart set on being a lawyer, making lots of money, and traveling. Kids do not fit into her dream and she told me she doesn't want to be a mother. I said, you don't have to have kids. You don't have to get married. You don't have to do anything other than what makes you happy. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for not wanting kids. I don't expect you to give me grandchildren. I just want you to be happy. You handled this situation correctly in my opinion. Your wife needs to chill. They are literally kids. They have so many years to change their minds and if they don't? Oh well, it's not her decision. They are still children. Why the hell is she bringing this up now? Does she want the kids to have babies tomorrow? Wow. My 13-year-old daughter recently stated she doesn't want kids. Rather than pushing the issue, I let her know that it doesn't matter and it's her decision. Sure, she is young and may change her mind. Even if she doesn't, I will still love her the same. I am proud that she's able to vocally express what she wants for her life. Not the asshole. You are so correct here. They still have many years to change their minds, not that it matters if they don't. Anecdotal, but my best friend has wanted to have children since we were younger and always wanted to be a young stay-at-home mom. She never planned to go to college or any further education. Som status was like her dream. Now she's in her 30s and loves to travel and the freedom with being child-free, and she isn't sure children are in the cards at all anymore. I have never wanted children, thought that I wouldn't be able or willing to give up the freedoms and be selfless, and now I'm 4 weeks away from having a baby and excited for the next part of my life to start. Life is funny like that. Not the asshole. As a child-free woman, 49, I applaud you for sticking up for your children. On a daily basis I see women and men in my child-free Facebook groups complaining about their entitled parents and questioning whether or not to maintain relationships with family who cannot respect their wishes. Your wife has zero right to demand anyone else do anything with their body or life that they don't want to do. It is not your children's job to produce offspring for anyone. Stand by your children, regardless of what they decide to do child-free, because many of us don't change our minds and are perfectly happy with our decision, adoption, or bio, or you truly risk losing them. Not the asshole. People like your wife are so selfish, it's sickening. Not the asshole. As someone who was adopted, the phrase, real grandkids, is quite frankly disgusting. Spoiler alert. Your wife will be such a pain in the ass grandparent she won't see them anyway. Your wife is a major asshole for saying adopting a child isn't the same. You are NTA. Not the asshole. You are right, and kids hate being pressured to have children of their own. I admit I used to do this to my son and I know he hates it. Also, non-bio grandchildren would still be grandchildren. Wow, as an adoptee I really am offended. I sure feel real, and I think your wife needs to check herself. If your kid ever do adopt, she won't be their child's grandparent with that attitude, and I can say I'm sorry for her. She's a grown-ass lady calling children basically worthless unless they're blood related to their family. Quite disgusted by who she's shown she is. You're not the asshole. If you aren't careful, your wife will end up like this mill. Not the asshole. Gross, your kids are still children and she's whining about grandbabies? Let them live first before they settle down or not. You're absolutely right to stand up for your kids' body choices. They are separate entities and don't owe your wife zilch. Not the asshole. It's disgusting how she wouldn't view her potential adopted grandchildren as her grandchildren just because they're not biologically related. Biology really don't mean shit. That's a huge kick in the gut to every adopted kid or kid stuck in the shitty foster care system. You're right. Your kids don't owe you or her anything, especially grandchildren if they don't want kids. Good job on sticking up for them. You sound like an awesome parent. This is an R relationships post, not an AITA. Neither of you did anything at all. You were just having a conversation and have differing views. I don't agree with your wife, but you just need to talk to her. Nah. Your wife is the asshole just for her comments that adopted grandchildren would not be real grandchildren. What a horrible attitude. You are not the asshole though. Your children need to make their own decision and your wife should calm the F down because they are only teenagers. Like you said, they may change their minds. Not gonna lie, I really hope I get a grandchild from at least one of my 4 kids. Because I think they are awesome people, who would make amazing parents. But if they choose not to, I will deal, period. My feelings are my problem, not their burden to bear. And I am very proud of my 6 grand cats. Not the asshole. Fuck, this got me right in the feels. It's everyone's individual decision to have kids any way they want or don't want. It's not an expectation or requirement. My mom freaked the fuck out about this and still calls me out of nowhere to cry about how I'm ruining her life. Wish someone would have stuck up for me like you did. NTA, and you're the father every person in R, child-free, wishes they have. Some people already know when they are very young that they don't want kids. Some people change their mind, some don't. You are very right, your kids don't owe you grandchildren, bio or not. Not the asshole, and she needs to get a handle on that real grandkids b.s. before she has any adopted or step grandkids. Not the asshole. 17 is too young to be pressuring your kids to have kids of their own, and the anti-adoption stance is ugly too. Not the asshole. My daughter had actually said she'll be sad if I don't become a grandmother cause she knows I'd rock it. I've told all 3, have kids for yourself and your partner, never for anyone else. And, they are 22, 27, 31, so grown. Oh good, another stupid, unreasonable wife post. Meanwhile dad is totally laid back and gets that the kids are autonomous beings. What a week. There's nothing wrong with wanting and hoping for grandkids. There's everything wrong with trying to force anyone to have children when they don't want to, especially to start harassing them about it when they're still children themselves. Also, Using the term, real, grandkids? Are adopted kids, false children, in some way? What a hateful streak she's revealing if she wouldn't love an adopted grandchild exactly the same way. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm almost 30, my sister's almost 20, and our brothers are teens. I'm damn near sterile, sister might not be able to have kids, and our brothers are much too young to think about all that. Right now, my parents and sperm donor are all having slight baby fever, but my parents are super excited about me getting to be a stepdad. Adopting kids and don't care if it's by blood, they're just hoping for them. My sperm donor on the other hand sounds like your wife. Expects me to put my life on hold to pop out kids and says that my girlfriend's son will never be his grandson. Cut him off after that one. You are absolutely right. Your kids don't owe y'all grandbabies, and any grandkids they do give you don't have to be blood. Head on over to r. Just normal for many stories of the mother-in-law your wife could turn into. Does she want to not have a relationship with your kids? She's on that path. Not the asshole. And as an adopted child myself, ouch to what your wife said about adopted children not being the same as real grandkids. My mother wishes she was a grandmother. Well, she's not, because of both not wanting kids and my being single with only a couple of major relationships earlier in my life. It's definitely not going to happen since I'm in my mid-40s and now boyfriend in his late 50s. She's never gotten on me about it, just mentioned it a few times. I'm okay with that. Not the asshole. Nobody is owed grandchildren. NTA. Your kids are way too young for your wife to be having this convo with them. I get that she would want a grandkid, but if she keeps bringing this topic up, the only thing that's gonna happen is them not wanting any kids. Plus they can change their minds when they grow up.